I'm Kevin O'Hara for Alcohol Mastery, and this is Stop Drinking Alcohol 77. Today I'm going to be talking about if I decide to take one drink, will it do me any harm? Speaking to your doctor and not being a burden on your community. Before I do the videos, just a quick personal plug for the book. You can get it over on the website or you can buy it on Amazon. It's called Stop Drinking Alcohol. And if you've already bought the book, I'd really appreciate it if you would be kind enough to leave a quick review. Just one or two words just to say what you thought about the book. It just helps getting the word out. So on with the videos. So this question is about, will one drink do you any harm? The reality of this is that, it's definitely going to set you back. This is about quitting alcohol. You just taking one drink is going to put you on the back step again. One drink always leads to another. It might take another week before you get there, before you take that one drink. But it's going to happen. You'll have another one and you go, well, that first one didn't really do much harm. So, I can take another one. Or, once you've had the one drink, you might say, well, geez, one drink is no harm at all. I'll take another one. And then 2 will lead on to 3, and 3 on to 4. And before you know it, you'll be back exactly where you started again. This is one of the reasons why I really don't encourage people to go onto alcohol-free beers, is because, especially in the early stages of you stopping drinking, the habit part of your brain is just trying to encourage you to drink. It's trying to get back into that old habit. That's what a habit is. It's trying to put you into a routine, and there's nothing malicious about this. There's nothing intelligent about it. It's very basic. It's very mechanical. And once you allow that routine to come back into your life, then it's very difficult to turn it back around again. You get a feeling that you want to have a drink. It'd be nice to have a drink, or a thought. Maybe you're in a situation, or you're with other people, or you're in a place that you would normally, have a drink, and this thought pops up in your head. It's an automatic reaction. I'll talk about triggers in the coming weeks. I'll do a few videos on triggers, because I think that's one of the important things. And as I said, in the beginning few days, it's important that you bring your conscious mind, your awareness around to the fact that these thoughts are going to happen, that you are going to want a drink, even if you're determined and absolutely positive that you're never going to drink again. Those thoughts will still pop up into your mind. You can't help it. When it comes to asking these questions, I don't blame you. It's a perfectly normal thing, but you already know the answer. You don't need to ask me. But it's not what I teach. I teach quitting alcohol altogether because I don't want to be a teetotaler. I don't want to be that person who is forever going through my life thinking, yeah, geez, wouldn't it be nice now to just be able to have the odd occasional drink. I don't want to be. I'm not a person who is quitting because it's bad for my health, although that's part of the reason. I'm not a person who is quitting because of family reasons, that kind of thing, although that's part of the reason. I just don't want to go through my life thinking that I'm making some kind of a fucking sacrifice, which I'm not. I'm making no more of a sacrifice quitting alcohol as I would if I was quitting heroin, say, for instance, or some other mad drug. This is a drug that is responsible for life destruction, the actual process of getting rid of the triggers out of your life is breaking down the connection between the triggers and the action. It's just interjecting your conscious awareness in between those two things, in between the time that the thought is triggered in your mind, the craving to drink, whatever you want to call it, and the action of actually drinking. So that can be anything. It can be a simple word or a phrase. It can be get a grip on yourself, or this is only a mind trick, or this is a trigger. For me at the moment, I'm trying to permanently get myself away from eating junk food. I eat healthy most of the time, and my weight fluctuates because every so often I go on a junk food binge. And junk food for me really means I have a sweet tooth. So, for me it's biscuits and cakes and chocolate bars and jellies and all that kind of stuff. So my word now is just emotion, because it only happens when it's sort of a form of emotional eating. I get it when I'm tired. I get it when I'm, I've had a bad day or something like that. I just feel like going down to the shop and buying a bag of goodies. In some areas of your life, it's a good idea to think emotionally, but I think in this type of area, especially where there's something so insipid as a drug habit, that you should try and take as much of the emotion out of it as you possibly can, and use cold, hard logic for your decisions. Life is life, and the craving to have a drink is basically because that is the easiest way that we as alcohol drinkers know to deal with life. So, once you have a drink and once you get pissed, you don't have to feel responsible anymore. You don't have to feel worried, or you don't have to, you don't have any worries at all. All you have to do is drink and get rid of all your responsibilities altogether. But in reality, what a waste of life. By giving into that one drink and saying to yourself, one won't matter, you're basically giving yourself permission to use to solve your problems through alcohol. You're not allowing your mind to actually pull away from the alcohol, and that is part of the journey. It's, for me, it's the whole journey is to face the opposite direction and go forward in your life and move away from alcohol. So long as you think that one drink won't matter, and so long as you have the idea in your head that you need alcohol in any way, shape or form, or that alcohol can solve any of your problems, you're always going to be tethered to it, like a big elastic band pulling you back all the time. So in the early days, like I say, even the alcohol-free beers has a tendency to do that because of the taste and the associations. Up until a couple of weeks ago when I went to Holland back then, and I had a few beers, and I still had those associations, and I still felt that pull. So, and it was that pull that I didn't like, and it was like taking a step backwards, sort of regressing back into my old ways, even though it wasn't. There's no alcohol in it, but it felt like that. At the end of the day, that's one of the reasons why it's important to know the reasons, your own personal reasons why you want to quit, why you don't want to drink anymore. It's because, at those times when you're asking that question, can you have a drink? You can see, really go over again your reasons for quitting, and ask yourself, is this one drink going to help you move towards your goals? Why do you want that one drink? That's a real basic question. It sort of leads on to my last argument about that one drink hypothesis is, why do you want that one drink? Why do you drink in the first place? Do you drink because you love the taste, or do you drink to get drunk? And most people, I think everybody who has who drinks a lot of alcohol in any one sitting does it because they like the feeling of getting drunk. You know, that's the basics. I think most people would drink alcohol if it tasted like shite, because most alcohol does taste like shite. You know, it was only when I stopped drinking, it was only before I stopped drinking and I sort of started thinking about my own drinking, thought about it in those terms and realised that, you know, that's what I actually drank for. I drank to get drunk. You know, there wasn't like every time I drank I got drunk, or, you know, there was occasions when I didn't drink, there was occasions when I couldn't drink, there was occasions when I'd have 2 or 3 drinks and I'd stop. But most of the time, I want to go out for a drinking session. I'd either go out for a drinking session, a long one, and get pissed, or I'd want to get pissed. And I realised that no matter what way I looked at this, even if I tried to control it, the whole reason for me drinking was to get drunk, so I would always be trying to get back to that level at some stage underneath me. You know, I'd always be trying to, you know, make excuses. Just this once, you know, like I'll allow myself to get pissed, even though on most occasions I might manage to be able to sit there and drink a half a bottle of wine. And, you know, once you allow yourself to do that once, then you're going to do it again, and you're going to do it again and again, and eventually you're back to square one again. I mean, this is a drug, no matter what way you look at it, and you have to think about it in those terms. Think about it in the terms that you would think about heroin. If you were addicted to heroin, if you had issues with heroin, if heroin was involved in your life and destroying your life in the same way as alcohol is doing, then you would have no compunction about it. You know, you wouldn't be thinking, oh well, you know, I'm not saying, I've never been on heroin, so I don't know. But I'm saying that's the way I think. The way I think about heroin is, it always scared me, so that's the way I think about alcohol now. It's just that we're conditioned not to think about it that way. So anyway, my next topic for today is, before you quit, that you should really speak to your doctor. I didn't go to see my doctor before I quit, and there was several reasons behind that. I've talked about this before, but mainly was because I'd stopped drinking about 5 years previously, and I'd stayed off it for a year. Also, you know, I had spells during those 5 years when I didn't drink. You know, when I'd spend 2 or 3 days off the drink, or a week off the drink, and nothing really happened to me. And considering that alcohol leaves your body within, you know, a couple of days, it's not really influencing you. And if you can last a week without it and you're not getting any severe symptoms or side effects, or and if you can, you know, manage a week without any severe discomfort, then, you know, you're okay. You know, but in reality, I don't want to be responsible for anybody, anything bad happening to anyone through advice that I give, either on YouTube, on the website, in my books, anything like that. You know, I don't want anything bad to happen to anybody, so my advice to everybody is to go and see your doctor. It's as simple as that, and it doesn't take long. You know, how much does it cost you? Over here it's €40 or something like that, and it's just, you know, if nothing more than to put your mind at ease, then, you know, I think you should do it. So what should you expect from your doctor? I mean, what do you think your doctor is going to be able to give you? I'll tell you what he's not going to be able to do, and that's, he's not going to be able to give you some magic elixir that's going to cure all your problems and, you know, take you from being in this state to not being in this state. That's not going to happen. What he can do is he can offer you medication, and that's completely up to yourself whether you take that. And he can also lend you sort of a helpful ear. You can listen to what's going on. And when you're at your doctors and you're talking to them, you know, tell them exactly what's the problem. don't hold anything back. If you're drinking 2 bottles of wine a day, then tell them that. Don't be saying, well, drink a couple of glasses. Don't underestimate what you're consuming. If you don't tell them exactly what's happening, how much you're drinking, then you're wasting your time and you're wasting theirs. I mean, your doctor is the one person in your life that should be able to give you advice. They're the one person that knows your medical history, and a lot of doctors nowadays might not have much time to spend with their patients, but a good doctor will still know his patient well enough to be able to advise them on things like this. When it comes to what to tell your doctor, you don't have to treat it like the confessional. You don't have to tell your doctor all the ins and outs of what's going on in your life because of your drinking. But you do sort of have to tell them about your drinking. And any information that you do give your doctor is confidential, so it's going to stay within the office. So don't be afraid of that. Be honest and open. Another thing that your doctor will be able to do is to sort of ascertain whether there's any damage done. He'll be able to take blood tests and get liver enzyme tests done to see if there's any damage done to your liver. And refer you to a specialist if that needs to happen. Another thing that your doctor won't be able to tell you is exactly what symptoms and side effects you're going to get, any more than anybody else is going to tell you that. They don't have a crystal ball. They can't tell you how long your discomfort's going to last, and they're going to talk to you in medical terms. So be aware of that. I, for one, don't think it's a medical condition. I think there are medical conditions associated with drinking, but it's part of a destructive lifestyle choices, if you want to put it that way. So your doctor's going to give you medical jargon, so be prepared for that. And listen, I mean, they're in the best position to tell you whether you're at risk. I'm not. I couldn't tell you a spleen from a liver. I probably could if it was on a plate. Well, I don't even know what a spleen looks like. So, but anyway, that's the gist of the thing, is to go and see your doctor. So the final thing I wanted to talk about today was one of the benefits of quitting drinking, and that's basically to stop being a burden on your community. This all came about because really I was talking to a guy the other day, and it just got me thinking. We went out with a few of our friends for a meal, and there was a lot of people at the table. Some of them I did know and some of them I didn't know, and the conversation sort of, as the night wore on, got around to people wasting money. Basically people wasting taxpayers' money for the most part. And eventually they started talking about the NHS, and which is the National Health Service in the UK. Now, what really annoyed me about the whole thing was they started going on about, this one guy in particular was talking about how much money was being wasted on druggies. And what he meant by druggies was people who were taking heroin, and he said, that they should be basically thrown out in their arse onto the road with no help or treatment at all. So what he was basically talking about, he was basically going on about people who were in hospital because of their own stupidity, because they caused themselves to be in hospital. And I was talking to the guy's wife later on in the day, later on in the evening, and she was telling me that he was only after overcoming a triple bypass, and it wasn't successful. His arteries were that clogged up, and the fucker was sat there with the biggest pile of fried food on his plate that you've seen in a long time, you know. And surely his doctors were saying, look, you know, all this stuff that you're causing to yourself, you know. It's and he's got the cheek to stand there, sit there, and start going on about so-called druggies. And of course, you know, everyone around me was drinking, and one of the women, you know, turned around to me and said, "What do you do for a living?" I said, "Well, you know, I run a website to help people with alcohol problems." And you know, straight away was, "Oh, is that why you're not drinking? You've got an alcohol problem." And you know, like, I'm out with friends, and really, it was like, you know, I just had to say, well, you know, I used to. That was it, you know, and end of subject. But you know, it's a typical thing. People sort of think about self-harm. When they think about self-harmers, they think about druggies, for instance, who are taking heroin, or they think about teenagers who are, you know, cutting themselves and all that kind of stuff. You know, you know, when you think about it, when you think about how many people are actually in hospital today because of diseases or conditions that they've caused for themselves. There's an American Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, and on their website it says that if people ate right, you know, cut back on the amount of crap they were eating, if they got up off their arses and exercised, and if they stopped smoking, that it would cut up to 80% of all preventable diseases and conditions. 80%. I couldn't believe that when I read it, you know. So, but it makes sense, you know. One of my biggest gripes is with children's hospitals. You know, like no matter where I've been in the world, in the UK, Ireland, over here, you always find people looking for donations for children's hospitals. And it's like, what the hell is going on, you know? You'd think that they would be the best funded hospitals around. I mean, I know that's a different story. It's, but it's, you know, it's one where they haven't got any money themselves and they've got no vote, so they've really got no say. And yet you've got 80% of people who are in hospital with preventable conditions like this, you know. And you know, for me, it just hit home that you know, we were as drinkers, and I'm, you know, like, I hold my hand up. I not only was I a bad drinker, I smoked, I took acid on occasion, I smoked marijuana, I ate crap food. I lived my life basically like it was somebody else's problem, you know. And you know, I'm thankful that I'm sort of out of that now, but you know, I think that's one of the big benefits for anybody, is to sort of see that they're not being a burden unnecessarily on their own community. So for what it's worth anyway. If you have any questions about that at all, then go over to the website, leave a message on YouTube. If you haven't signed up for the newsletter, go over to the website and do that. So until next time, I'm Kevin O'Hara for Alcohol Mastery. Onwards and upwards.